Joe! Joe の野郎。鬼姫が完全にぶっ潰しやがって。
Oh my god. Hello everyone, welcome to Joe Consumes Cinema. I'm your host, One Trick Pony, and today we have Ashita no Joe, episode 33. So last one was a really good one. We got the debut match of both Joe and Nishi. Nishi had a bit of a tough time. You know, we heard from Dangpei that he very much could have won the fight, but because of the cut, they had to stop it. Cuts are very dangerous in boxing. You know, it can easily snowball to the point where even like lose an eye, like it can get really serious really fast. So refs always look at that. And yeah, if you're like a 4-round, C-class fighter like Nishi, they are super cautious because an injury like that, if, they just let the fight go on, could end a boxer's career. So they got to be super cautious with that type of stuff. Joe, for the most part, just got his ass kicked, but he has that one trick that he pulls out, the right cross counter. It worked like a charm for him again. But, relying on that too much is not a plan for success long term. It's just something that he has in the bag, and yes, it's very concerning. You beat the shit out of this guy, and he's hanging on to life. You think you just got to give him one more good one, and he's going to go down, and then he cracks you with something, and all of a sudden you're on the canvas getting counted out. So yeah, it's a serious weapon, and it is something that, other fighters that are going to go up against Joe need to really take into consideration. But Joe is very much at a point where he needs to fix these fundamental flaws, and if he doesn't, he's not going to have a long boxing career. It's really as simple as that. Now, Dangpei, given all his knowledge and experience, I know he's going to drill into Joe, the need to correct these things. My only concern really is, will Joe listen? Because he was out there, soaking in all the atmosphere, the lights, the crowd roar, and, all that. I get it, but right now is a good time for humility, and it's not exactly Joe's strong suit. But, I think with Dangpei's teachings and advice, it'll eventually sink in. He may just, not accept it right away like he should, honestly. But yeah, based on the things that Dangpei was saying and based on watching Joe's fight, I think the two are in this kind of weird spot where they each need a little bit of the other in their fighting. Nishi, I think, needs to be more aggressive, a little bit more wild. He's too, like, by the book. And Joe, needs the complete opposite. He needs to focus a little bit more on the book and, rein in that wild side just a little bit. But yeah, last episode was a great one. I think at this point, the rivalry is definitely cemented. We get that fighter Wolf gunning for Joe. Nishi's going to get back to the drawing board and, hopefully have a successful fight his next time out. I'm really happy that the media is, eating this story up of, Joe's meteoric rise. And yeah, it's very cool and exciting. And yeah, I just want to get right to it. But before we begin, as always, remember to blank, blank, and blank. Still very much a small channel, so every like, comment, share, subscribe that we can get really helps out. Really appreciate it. Patreon link down below. I'm really trying to grow the Patreon this year, so if you could sign up, even as a free member, it'd help me out a ton. With that, let's get right to it. Sando bagani kao mega ake tatake 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 ashite wa kitto ashite wa dochira. Hooray for the first victory. Like I said, I just hope it doesn't go to his head. The hell's this guy? This guy looks sus. What the hell? Is he a fight doctor?
異常なしだ。
You know, Dangpei is the only one in Joe's corner right now. Usually you have a cut man. Is that what they're getting at with this guy? Because he examined Joe's eyelids to make sure there wasn't any damage.
おお、のりちゃん。なんだい、先に帰ったんじゃなかったのかい。
どうしたのさ、赤い顔して。あら。矢吹くん。
He has a crush on her boy.
矢吹嬢さんいらっしゃいますか。
矢吹は俺だけど。
はい。白木陽子さんよりの贈り物でガス。へどうも前田り。
Got a little bit of a love triangle going on here.
初勝利おめでとう、白木陽子。相変わらず貴様真似しやがる。
初勝利おめでとう。
俺が下町の娘と大罰令嬢との差ってもんかね。
That's rude.
しかしなんだね、花束ってな、こういう派手な方が様になるね。
いい加減させ、ジョー。
I don't know if Joe actually likes Miss Shiraki or, really does despise her. It could kind of go either way. What the fuck?
俺は何をしたってんだよ。
Okay, now the dude is following them. He's gotta be a cut man or something.
よう、親父、何か用かい。
よろしい。いいから、お前は先に行きなさい。
なんて変な親父。
What the hell? This is really weird. If he wanted to be their cut man or something, he would just come out and say it. I don't understand why the hell he followed them here and then was building, his own shack right next to them.
今度はそんなところに家から建てやがって、一体何しよってんだい。
Oigawa Clinic. He looks like a bum, so it makes sense that he's in Slumtown. He's putting his... What the fuck? That's so arrogant. Jesus. And his is bigger than everybody's.
ちょっとあんたそれ一体何の真似だい。
このジムの健康管理はこれで万全です。
健康管理。
では、このジムのホームドクターとしての計画を言う。
ホームドクター。それにうちのジムはホームドクターに払う金の余裕などないわ。
お金をもらわなくても私がホームドクターであることに変わりはありません。他に何か？
あ？
Who the hell are you?
何怒ってんだよ。
いやよ。私はね、矢吹城専属の洗濯女じゃないですからね。
一体どうしたんだよ。
いいだ。洗濯物でも何でも白木陽子さんとかいう人に頼んだらどうなの？
Oh shit.
バカバカ、ちょっとバカ。
どういうことだ、やめろ。
こ
これやろうね。
やったわね。よーし、この。
Oh my god, they're wasting so much food. Oh, you're dead.
お怪我は。
首！今日限り首！お母さんなの。
バカ野郎、のりちゃんが家出したぞ。
のりちゃんが家で？
今日の初勝利と西のデビュー。
Really not a fan of whatever Dangpei drinks. Like, he hasn't completely fallen off the wagon. He tried alcohol again a little bit, but, didn't lose his shit over it, but still.
そうです。私も矢吹城は非常に気に入ってます。あのパンチ、あの身のこなし、正真正銘のボクサーです。ただ押しの楽はまだすみれの美しさを知らん。
What the hell does he mean by that?
昨日もらったスミレの花よ。ちゃんとジムに飾っといたぜ。よく見ると、あの花もなかなか活かしてるよ。
矢吹くん、なんでもないわ。
Ashita, oh. 目指して立ち上がる。立て立つんだジョー。Okay, I took some time just to gather my thoughts. Episode 33, pretty good one overall. So, direct aftermath of the fight, we got a little love triangle going on between Noriko, who's the shopkeep's daughter, Miss Shiraki, and Joe. Now, the competing bouquet of flowers, the one that Miss Shiraki sent the big bundle of roses versus the violets that Noriko gave him. I think it makes a lot more sense given Joe's personality that he ends up, if there is going to be a romantic relationship there with Noriko than Miss Shiraki, but I don't know where Joe's headspace is, honestly. Like, he's always talked about how much he hates Miss Shiraki because, she's like this effete snob who thinks she's better than everybody else, and it really doesn't make sense given Joe's background that he'd end up with someone like that. Noriko, on the other hand, they've worked together in the grocery store. It makes a lot of sense, she's a working class girl, much more in line with, Joe. And the two seem to get along for the most part. Now, throughout the episode, once Joe insulted her by, rejecting the flowers, essentially, they got into that fight and everything, kind of snowballed. But they made up in the end, so, I think it's fine. I'm not sure, again, where Joe's headspace is, and I'm not sure it actually really matters in the grand scheme of things which one he ends up with, if he does end up with either one of them. I think that storyline is just something that's just there in the background. It's like sort of a little bit filler. But more interesting thing that happened is this random dude just showed up to the locker room, gave Joe a medical examination, and based on what he was doing, he was checking the eyelids to see if there was any cuts, like hemorrhages, anything like that. Gave Joe, a clean bill of health, and then just disappeared. Then showed back up, literally stalking them as they're heading back to the shack. Then he builds his own shack right next to them, puts up a sign saying Okigawa medic, or like I guess he's a doctor, but he looks like a bum. The way he's going about this whole thing is very strange because he just shows up, like I said, builds the shack, and then literally walks inside, hangs up his name, and declares that he's now their private medical doctor. And Dangpei's like, "Who the hell are you? Like, why are you here? We can't afford that, that type of thing." And he's like, "You don't have to pay me. I'll do it for free," basically. Like, it's so weird. But this character seems very interesting. I talked about it a little bit, but, Dangpei is the only one in Joe's corner, and also Nishi's too. And that's very uncommon. Usually you have a cut man. Usually you have 3 people in total. The chief second, who would be Dangpei's position, a cut man, which I guess this new guy fits the bill. And then usually a close friend or, a fellow fighter too. Someone that can give advice, but isn't like the main focus. It's just kind of like added general support. Typically it's 3 people. But yeah, decent episode, not a whole lot to it other than that new guy springing up out of nowhere. And yeah, honestly, I'm just going to get right to the next one. So yeah, that's all I got for now. As always, thanks for watching, and peace.